We are live, sir.
Okay. Time is now 5:35. December 28th, calling to order the regular scheduled meeting of the Calvert City Board of Zoning Adjustments. First on our agenda is approval of the minutes.
I've reviewed the minutes, guys. I'll make a motion that we approve them.
Okay, we have a motion for approval.
Yes, I make a
Okay,
motion.
we have our second. Okay, let's see, we have no visitors or petitioners on site. We are scheduled for an update on MegaFit Meals. John, do you have any information on that?
Our city attorney's got the update on that.
Okay, Greg, would you like to take it?
Sure. Yeah, I got a text from Chip Adams yesterday saying they had all met with BFW or
BFW.
whatever, BFW, and had gotten them started on doing the study and getting it ready to go, but they didn't have anything to report. And he asked, was there any reason for him to come to the meeting tonight? And I talked with John about it, and we both decided to tell him, no, don't bother coming to the meeting. But we did tell him that we would like to meet with Bacon Farmer and Workman or whatever next month, because to discuss theory and strategy before any actual design is entered upon, and just so that you guys have an opportunity to say yes or no, this strategy is acceptable, and moves you towards something that you might ultimately approve. And so I sent that message. I think John and I both sent that message to Adams, and he responded to me, good. And so that's where that's why he's not here, is because we told him not to. We can tell you as well as he can that they've met with Bacon Farmer and Workman, and don't have any paperwork back from them yet.
Okay.
That's where they are.
But they are working on it and feel pretty confident we'll have a good update in January's meeting.
That's what
I don't.
hang on just a second. Let me tell you exactly what this he said, any need for me to show up and say that MegaFit and I have met with BFW on the upcoming project, but I haven't received anything back from them yet, and I'm trying to get together with the architect. And I said, I talked to John, and he said he would call you. Neither of us think there is a point in you attending tonight's meeting. I'll relay your message to them. However, I would strongly suggest that somebody from BFW attend the January meeting to discuss philosophy and strategy with the BOA before actually beginning a design. I hope, and then I said, I hope you had a good Christmas. And he said, all is good.
Okay.
So that was the communication.
So guys, I've actually looked this up, and obviously they violated a conditional use permit several years ago. They violated a second one. And when Chip Adams originally came, they during that meeting, they were supposed to be, the next steps were to get with BFW. As of today, it's been 118 days, and we still don't have anything from BFW. Given their history, they're not going to, I mean, I just really feel strongly that they're not going to comply. I mean, here we are 120 days after the fact, and we still have, we don't, they tell us they met with them. We don't know that they met with him, whatever the case may be. And if we, in the original meeting, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, if we revoke their conditional use permit, guys, they're going to continue to operate. They're going to continue to operate with a fine every day, I assume, Greg, but they're going to continue to operate. It's not going to shut them down, but I just see a repeated history of not complying with anything that we have asked them. I mean, am I wrong there, guys?
Okay, the audio was a little sketchy there, but I pretty much caught the whole gist of it, Willie. So, but Are you proposing we do anything at this meeting or?
I'm going to make a motion again that we revoke their conditional use permit. Again, guys, we know they're going to continue to operate. They're not going to shut down. They're going to operate with a fine, but they're blatantly disregarding what we've asked them, and there's a repeated history of it. I mean, you know, it's one of those mess me up one time, it's my fault, mess me up twice, it's your fault type thing. You know, I just don't see that that's going to happen.
Their conditional uses have been revoked. They were revoked 2 meetings ago.
I don't think we actually, is that correct? I don't think we actually did vote to.
Yes, we revoked them. We just did not act on doing enforcement. I was not told to do an enforcement at that time.
What would enforcement look like, John?
Well, that's where we actually go to try to shut them down.
So would that be a fine for each day they're operating, or how would that work?
What would happen would be the county attorney would be contacted regarding the misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor charge. The county attorney has told me that he's got a conflict and he would ask the court to appoint a special prosecutor for that prosecution. And so I suspect that the judge would do that, would appoint a special prosecutor, and then that special prosecutor would, I suppose, pursue charges for the misdemeanor that our ordinance imposes for operating without a permit.
Okay, that makes sense to me. So again, I'll make a motion that we enforce the revocation of the conditional use permit, given the blatant disregard repeatedly from them. And I'll make that motion. Like I said, it's been 118 days since they told us, and they've met with us 4 times, well, 3 times since he's not here. And I mean, I don't have confidence we'll see anything in the 5th time. Maybe we will.
Okay. So we do have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. I think we ought to have a deadline of some kind. To me,
Let me just say my only hesitation, and I'm normally the guy that's wanting to I'm the enforcement guy. My only hesitation on this one is that I told Chip that not to come to this meeting, and for that reason I feel a little.
I understand that completely. I understand exactly where you mean, and I'll give that some validity. And I don't even mind, Greg, if I need to, I'll hold the motion until next time. But we're not going to see BFW next month. I just don't have confidence we will.
And next month I would have no qualms. Next month I would have no qualms. At any point, I have no qualms in enforcing our ordinance. I think if you've got an ordinance, you enforce it. That's where I always land. But on this particular set of circumstances, I hate to do that just because I suggested to Chip that there was no reason for him to come to this meeting. And that's my only qualm.
I understand that completely. And I'm good with that. I mean, if everybody else is good with that, I'm good with holding that motion until the next meeting. But, the next meeting, guys, they're just not it's blatant disregard. I'm actually for doing it now, but I understand that position, Greg, and I respect that. That's what I would want if it were me and I was Chip.
So are you going to withdraw your motion at this time?
I will withdraw my motion at this time.
Okay.
Okay. Motion's withdrawn.
And we'll deal with it next month, like I said, and see how that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have no objection.
I mean, and I don't want them to leave, guys. I think they're great. I love the guys. But, you know, we have ordinances. I'm forced to follow them in my buildings and everybody else is too. And this is just blatant disregard, you know, third time after 2 conditional use permits and they still haven't shown this up. It just doesn't look good. I mean, they would enforce it to me and Gary and Greg and everybody else. So,
Okay.
but yes, I will withdraw that motion.
Are you okay, Jim, with your second to withdraw?
I'll withdraw the second.
Okay.
I do have a question. If y'all can help me out on that. I think this entire board and everybody included has had a lot of patience with this. And it does seem like to me that they're putting us on. It's seemed to be just something each week. Well, we'll be with you next month, or I'm sorry, each month. And I just wondered if there's a certain, we set a timetable.
Well, I know that when they came here to get clarification on the planning commission after the first visit, I think that was even after it was pulled. And they came here to get a clarification that the front of the building was indeed where it is, you know, and they got that straight, they got that to the planning commission. And then after that, of course, last month,
Guys, I can guarantee you I can call Bacon Farmer Workman and they're going to work with me in faster than 118 days. Even if I have to take a month to go before.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just telling
Yeah.
you procedures of what took place.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that they've been quick to move on that, but at the same time, there is progress. You just have to, I guess you're just got to hold some fire to their feet, make sure that they're following up or move forward with
I mean, and honestly, Jim, you know, whether we can put it on paper or not, if they don't have something from the engineers or the engineers there, I'm going to make the same motion because otherwise, I mean, that's kind of the point of us holding people accountable. So I'm going to make the same motion next month if they don't have it.
Okay, understood.
Now, tell me if I'm properly reflecting you guys. Excuse me, I hear grandchildren coming in. Let me close my door. What I conveyed was what you heard, was what I read to you. I think strategy and philosophically, we got some big issues to get across before we start designing something. Do you guys agree?
I agree 100%.
Okay, because we've got a manufacturing facility in a place where, well, we've got a significant manufacturing facility in a place where a small manufacturing facility was originally permitted, right? And now we've got a major manufacturing facility there, and what's being proposed or what's being considered is there a way to operate a major manufacturing facility in a manner that is consistent with that spot on the earth in Calvert City? And so you got some strategy and philosophy that's got to be addressed before you start talking about how you're going to design a whatever. Am I properly reflecting your thoughts in conveying that information to Mr. Adams?
Yes, I on my behalf, yes. I mean, again, it's a B2 zone and it's a major manufacturing facility. And to summarize you, so I understand, Greg, essentially what you're saying is no matter what the plans, we've got to figure out how plans work to fit a major manufacturing facility in that B2 lot.
Well, let me ask a question. Are you asking to work out the strategy first or then give a plan and you go back and rehash the plan to fit the strategy? Because if you're going to come back and make the same motion next month, then it sounds like they need to have a plan already here as opposed to a strategy. Am I understanding?
That's not the way I'm construing you.
Well, I know what you're saying, Greg, but I'm not sure I'm understanding Willie's concern and what he's wanting to see next month.
I think Greg
Willie
gets
just
it.
wants to see them.
Let me
Yeah.
hear Willie. Go ahead, Willie.
Yeah, no, I think Greg is right and Greg gets
Okay,
it. No,
all
I
right.
think we need to see them. And we just have to
Yes.
consider, guys, how do you fit that major manufacturing facility so that it's congruent with the Dairy Queen and with everything that's in that B2? And I think that's what Greg means by strategy.
Sure. And I was understanding Greg, but I was misunderstanding the way you were wanting to go with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to see them.
Plan.
I don't know that we're expecting a plan next month, as much as we are a good conversation with their designers as to what
I
they
just want to see that they've retained engineers.
Sure.
At this point, they could tell you that, but we don't know.
I got you. I understand.
I personally will be very disappointed if I see a plan next month. Because somebody's been spending money and you guys have not even yet made a determination that under any circumstances, this thing could be
Congruent. Yeah.
could be permissible. You guys are going to first have to determine, is there a way to make this permissible before you start talking about how you're going to do that? And I know we've talked about you need a loading dock and you need to get the trailers out of the front yard or the backyard or whatever, and you got to address traffic flow. But none of that has ever been said that if you do that, then you'll be permitted, because you've still got a major manufacturing facility there. So I think you guys need to be thinking, anticipating that if they do bring the engineers next month, what are you going to tell those engineers? What are you going to tell them about parking and about traffic flow, and what kinds of accommodations are going to have to be imagined and created in order to make that appropriate for where it's found? Because if you guys are not ready for those, it isn't going to matter. If you've got the engineers sitting there ready to talk, but you guys haven't really thought through it yourselves, then we've just blown another month.
Yeah.
Somebody correct me if I'm misreading you. Okay.
I think you're correct.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'm on board now. I understand. I just want to get a clarification. I was confused as to how we were going to proceed with this or how it was going to move next month. And I just want to make sure that I was understanding that correctly. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let's rock and roll.
Anything else on this subject? Okay, we'll move on then.
I will say, guys, that they have removed the trailers and the parking lot does look a lot better.
Yeah. I've noticed that too. Okay, next we have new business update on our conditional use inspections. I saw the copy that y'all provided for us. Bruce, are you addressing us on this or?
I don't have my copy. When we already well, hang on. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay. Oh, you got extra copies in it. Just want to keep you up to date as to where Bruce was on this. He had set a goal for himself to try to get everything done by the end of the year, but he's got, how many do you like? 11?
11 plus the 3 you turn back.
Well, those 3 are going to be okay anyway, because you and I've discussed those. Because based on, he had some that he was, didn't have the right addresses, because when they were done pre 911 update. And so the addresses don't match with what we have today. So basically just going back to relook at those 3 again, based on the new address, the corrected addresses. But we got 11 yet to go. It's all for the year. And he's gone through them all. We've set up a good baseline for the pre-2017 repeal and adoption of the new ordinance. And basically is just about getting us into compliance with our annual inspection. And then what we'll do after this year with our baseline set, we'll start inspecting those conditional uses that were approved after August of 2017. And the rest of them will be non-conforming uses from the past. So, but we do have a baseline that we can utilize if anything comes forward after that for those. So he's done a good job. We've got good reports. Each report going into the individual conditional use file, so it's there. And those that are going to go into the inactive or the non-conforming, which is pre-17, will be set up and set aside separately. They'll still be on file, but they'll be separate from our active conditional use files that have happened or been approved since August of 17. So with that, do you all have any questions? There was 131 of them total. And so, and not only this, he gone through those that were approved, he's gone through those that were denied, those that were withdrawn, all of them, to get those for our inactive file. So he's been moving very, very rapidly, in my opinion, considering he works 3 days a week. So
Ones that
So-
are like under pending, that will be stuff that we'll review as a board on the pending ones
or
or
pending are the ones that have an application.
okay.
That's the only thing that's pending. Well, you get your seasonals. If you look on here, there's 7 pending. Those are your fireworks
Right.
stands. They operate seasonally. And so they'll come in and they were not here when he came on board. They had already been here for the year, but have not been back. It won't be back until like next June. Or they're doing an ice cream or ice machine type setup where they're doing the snow cones.
Yeah.
So they're doing them annually and not, or seasonally, not full all year long. So those are the ones it talks about pending here.
It's a very good tool for
Yeah.
us. So, it's good,
So
good project.
he's done a real good job. Yes, Willie.
Yeah.
So I do have one question, and I think you and I had maybe talked about this, John, a year or so ago. And when you're going down 9th Street, you go over the hill, but you go down 9th Street like you're going to my house. On the left-hand side, I think it's Cherrywood. There's a trailer that's over there that has all the windows broke out. And I think I had gotten a hold of you a while back because one of the neighbor's kids had got in it and cut his arm. Do you know what the status of that is?
Yeah, that is a nuisance abatement.
Okay.
And it's in process.
Okay.
Just curious, is that a legal process where somebody gets a summons and
Well, it's not necessarily a summons. They get notices that come from us, then they go from, then Greg sends out checks for liens. We notify lien owners. I mean, it's a process.
Anytime you're gonna tear a house down, anytime the objective is to tear a house down, you gotta jump through a bunch of hoops because people have, well, even lenders have interests in those houses. And so the law goes pretty far to make sure that you don't go off half-cocked tearing stuff down before anybody that's got an interest has an opportunity to say, hey, wait a minute. So it just takes a little while. You just got to jump through a bunch of hoops.
We've got several lists. That's one of them that's up on the front of the list.
I was going to say, just for our knowledge, like when that happens, Greg, how long does the whole, if somebody, it's a nuisance, John starts his paperwork. I mean, is that typically a 2-year thing, a 3-year thing?
No, it's not that long. It's
There's a couple things that go into that.
about 5 months, maybe four or five months probably would get it done.
Willie, that's the legal process. That's correct.
Yeah.
But there also has a financial process that goes in there. And if I don't have the money in the budget for that, I can put it off as much as a year or so. So
That
it really
makes perfect
depends on
sense.
the severity and the amount of money I've got for abatement as well.
Understand.
Okay.
Understand.
So he's right. The actual paperwork process, probably half a year.
That's just good knowledge.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was curious about that process. I've gone through
It
How
aggravates,
many
it
of those-
aggravates everybody. It's
How many
frustrating.
nuisance properties do we have in the city, do you think, John?
How many what?
Nuisance properties?
A few. I can't go into, I don't know exact number, but there's a
Yeah.
few, and it seems to be more, as you go around, you wind up seeing more, little by little. And so with Bruce here, we're able to get out a little more and do a little looking and get some information. So that's helping too. But I've been working with the building inspector's office for residential, in trying to address a few other issues that are actually situations that are ongoing, that actually have where we're dealing with not only just the structure, but we're dealing with individuals within the structures. So that's taken a little more priority over the vacant ones right now. They're not going to the wayside, but it's going to take more involvement there. And so I'm finally getting the Marshall County Building Inspector's office is going to work with us directly to work together to see if we can't get resolution on 2 or 3 of those locations.
So this is just an oddball question, guys, but I had this question because I saw this recently with the tornado stuff. And apparently, am I correct, John and Greg, that in Marshall County now you have to go through the building inspector office and get a building permit or get a permit for any renovation, addition, construction, anything? Is that accurate?
That may be a little general, but if you're doing not necessarily maintenance, okay, but if you're doing renovation that changes walls, adds to a structure or removes from a structure, you're supposed to have a building permit because they have to inspect the load-bearing walls in what you're doing. Not only that, there's electrical, plumbing, all that else that goes with it as well. So yeah, in most cases, I'm going to recommend that if you're doing anything outside of routine maintenance, roofing, painting, stuff like that, that you're going to probably need to have or check in with the building inspector. If you're adding to structure, you've got only have to check in with the building inspector, but with us as well for zoning compliance. Maintenance, again, not such an issue. In a B2, when you're going out and doing, facade work, probably have to come back to the planning commission for an aesthetics review.
Got it.
That's not a costly thing. It's not right now. We don't have an application. You just go by, you present to them and they give you the blessing, basically, or not. It's not really a fee-based operation on an aesthetics review.
And I guess the building inspector considers a structure really anything except like a carport. I mean, is that accurate? Is it a barn? Is it?
It can be any structure. Anything.
It's going to be a lot like, the rules are going to be a lot like our rules, Willie. They're going to be a lot more complicated than the press is going to understand or be able to explain, because it's going to be very fact intensive. It's going to depend on what kind of building it is. Is it a rebuild or a new build? Is it an expansion or a change? So it's not going to be a real simple, yes, everybody has to have one. If you put in a new faucet, no, you probably are not going to have building inspector permits. However,
Did we lose Willie?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, I just lost your pic. I don't know what I lost your picture for some reason.
I'll be back on the screen in just a second.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure we didn't lose you.
so all of that is to say,
So
it's
physical
too complicated to.
What the physical
ahead.
court put out says building permits are required for new construction, any additions, any alterations, and any repairs to existing structures. This includes work to buildings such as residences and accessory structures damaged by the tornado on December 10th. Roof repairs such as roof shingle replacement is considered an ordinary repair and would not require a permit, but any other repairs would.
Yeah.
That's pretty much right. If it was
Did the fiscal court put that out themselves?
That's on their Facebook page.
Yeah. They're trying to be helpful, and it probably is somewhat helpful, but it's probably an oversimplification. It probably is an oversimplification of how all of the circumstances are going to work out. They're not all going to fall within that description. That being said, yeah, they've done folks a favor by telling them you're probably going to need a building inspector permit, so don't hesitate to go get one.
Yeah.
It's always safer to get it, and that way you know that they've approved what you're doing, as opposed to doing something and say, well, no, you got to take it out. It's not meeting code. You got to redo the whole thing. So it's always safer to go first and make sure that that's the case.
Makes sense. And I guess that's still Cat Spears, isn't it?
As far as I know,
Yeah, I think
I don't know
so.
of any.
Cat's still around.
He's electric.
Oh, yeah, Cat, yeah. Mr. Spears is the electrical, yeah, inspector.
Okay, cool.
Well, Mr. Spears does commercial building inspections, Mr. Duke does residential. And then, of course, the water is done by the health department.
No, the only other thing, guys, that I have is Bruce. I haven't got a chance to meet you in person, but I'm really glad you're here and doing what you do. I mean, I think that it helps us and it helps the board a lot. So I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks.
I agree
Me
with.
too.
All right, any more discussion? Yeah, I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay,
I'll second
in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Happy
Adjourn.
New Year, guys.
What time is it?
It is 6:07.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys, very much. I appreciate it. Sorry I was a couple of minutes late.